People are really tired of having no solutions to what's causing them distress. They're seeking outside of themselves. This is causing the distress. And they're never shown any type of self-realization or self-actualization when we are the ones responsible for our own healing, technically. When you're not teaching people this at a young age, you're reinforcing that your solution, your salvation is outside of yourself. And so what I see now, people are having the emerging spiritual awakenings and not knowing why they're so lost. They feel like an outcast. They're in a place of desperation, not realizing that they're on the precipice of emergence, which they don't understand. You have to be reduced to rubble before you can emerge in a more enriched version of yourself.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Psychedelic Conversations. We have a returning guest in the house, Michou Olivera. Welcome.
It's an honor to be back to this awesome podcast. Thank you for
Thank
having
you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you back. And there's quite a few things that I want to really have a deep dive. But before, just because, in case our listeners, it's their first time meeting you, and it's their first time listening to you, I would like to just give a little bit of your few sentences of your background, your bio, so that they can have a good understanding where you come from. Michou Olivera is an accomplished professional in the field of psychedelics with extensive knowledge and experience. She's an advisor, guide, integration facilitator, mentor, researcher, activist, and a mushroom cultivator, and the founder of Psychedelic Guidance and Integration. And you have been helping so many people, Michou, in their journeys. And also, I think we have a mutual research passion, which is LSD, I believe. So we can definitely go into that towards the end of our conversation. But let's begin with just a recap. What brings you to this work? And then maybe we can go into your observations on what is happening, the updates from, your lens, through your lens into the psychedelic realm.
Absolutely. Happy to speak to those. And really, right off the bat, what inspires me to show up for this path is the way that I see people coming from a place of transformation. When people step into this work and the work with psychedelics such as mushrooms and LSD, the transformations that they have are incredible to witness. And it fills me with massive joy to watch people start from a place of desperation and come to a place of grace and gratitude. It's unreal. And for the last 5 years, professionally, I'm watching these patterns continue and continue and continue. And it's unbelievably inspirational to be on this side of having the knowledge and experience of what works, what doesn't work, what makes things more approachable, what makes things difficult, and to be able to mesh these all together to help people is, I am grateful every day to have something to contribute to help people on this level, including starting with myself, number one, because I was in a place that I didn't think I would ever get out of. So I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have something of massive value to contribute to people's wellness. And it's an honor to be on this path deeply. Yeah.
Thank you so much. One thing is so interesting. I was thinking and reflecting on something, Michou, you might actually like this. So I was thinking lately that, in the past, historically, people, like we call them healers and guides and mentors, and historically, those were the people that came to it or stumbled upon these kind of modalities or their own healing journey because of their desperation, because of their deep search for something, because of maybe there was a deep trauma, maybe mental health challenges, physical challenges, right? I used to hear stories about people traveling to across the other side of the world to meet different healers. And I mean, I remember growing up myself, come from a very small town, and I remember the first instinctual thought would be, where is the nearest healer? There was always this seeking for an alternative before you could go to the mainstream, the medical, the doctors, or wherever. So that's the country I come from. So it was just so natural for those people to just think of what's the alternative? Like, what can we do immediately? Who knows about this, situation or the symptom? But then obviously that's changed a lot in the last, decades, several decades, especially in the first world countries. There's everything's kind of medicalized, and systems just changed into people coming into, going to the doctor is now more intuitive on an instant, like on a whim. The first thing you think about is going to a doctor, right? So I was thinking of that recently, and that's why we had these very significant, influential people that lived historically, and not many people had access to them.
Yeah.
They only would discover these people through their own journey, or maybe a family member is going through such a difficult, a challenging experience, so they go and seek and like I said, go to the other side of the world for it. But obviously, since now we're in the information technology world, since now we have this godlike technology in social media, suddenly we experience a explosion of these, methods and mentors and healers that historically been there. It's not new. It's not like a new conversation. They've always been there. But somehow, yeah, because of this technology and globalization, like we have now there is no borders, so to speak, like in terms of like there is we can speak to somebody. You can have a client all the way in Australia, somewhere. And then, we're observing this. This is a significant time to be alive. Sometimes I listen to spiritual mentors, a couple of them that I follow. They always say, these are the times that are returning, of like all the shift in consciousness are happening hugely. And part of me was thinking, yeah, maybe for those that are on the journey, surely there are folks out there who doesn't care about these things, right? Surely. And then there's another part of me knows that surely it's technology kind of reinforcing and maybe kind of pushing this explosion of learning about these different things. Maybe pandemic was a starting point, putting us all in a pressure cooker. So now, in the past, when only a handful of people would be able to seek and access this kind of stuff, suddenly the whole world is talking about this, right? The psychedelics and the alternative healing, not just psychedelics. I mean, I'm aware every day I see threads of herbalism, all kinds of things. What do you think happened? What are your observations through your perspective?
My perspective is that people are really tired of having no solutions to what's causing them distress when they're seeking, as you said, outside of themselves. This is causing the distress, and they're never shown any type of self-realization or self-actualization when we are the ones responsible for our own healing, technically. When you're not teaching people this at a young age, you're reinforcing that your solution, your salvation is outside of yourself. And this has been repeated now for generation upon generation and generation. And these people that are living the seeking of the help outside of themselves are passing this on to their children and their children. And now we've got generations of people that have sought their salvation outside of themselves. So it has to come to a place where that breaks the back of the process at some point, right? And so what I see now, people are having the emerging spiritual awakenings and not knowing why they're so lost. They feel like an outcast. Classic dark night of the soul symptoms and patterns are erupting and emerging everywhere around the country, the world. And the people that I'm finding that are finding their way to this path they're in a place of desperation, not realizing that they're on the precipice of emergence, which they don't understand. You have to be reduced to rubble, to ashes, before you can emerge in a more enriched version of yourself, right? But
yeah, totally. Yeah. Sorry to cut you there, but what you're saying is that is like the ultimate esoteric, deeper understanding of our human nature in the way that we shift in consciousness, right? So, coming crashing down and turning into rubble, it's not the same as, oh, I have this symptom, I need to go and fix it with mushroom, right? You're talking about this grand design of this whole picture.
The Western medicine idea of having a problem and then having a substance that takes the problem away is part of this process that has kept people this way, right? Because you have this concept that if something's not okay, I'm going to do something that's not even from my own accountability or my own agency and fix it, that's the crux of the issue, is the idea that, okay, mushrooms are going to fix me. Mushrooms are going to save me from whatever things are occurring within me that I don't feel good about. And that is the beginning, I feel, of the understanding that we're here to really have accountability in our process. And that relies a lot on our own intuition and our own inner knowing that people really refuse to look at. Societally, we don't want to hear about spiritualism. In our country, in the American country, that's not a conversation that's readily had by people. They're going to poo-poo that. They're going to, no, I don't want to talk about that. In the Western medical model, spirituality doesn't even have a place, right? When you're preparing at a shoulder surgery, number 5, when you're preparing for a major surgery, they're not talking about what happens after the fact to prepare you to be brought out of your comfort zone. You're not able to sleep in your own bed. You're able to have a brace on. You have to be brought to a place of almost humility to embrace the healing process. No one talks about what that is because there's no spiritual aspect to our process of healing or of physicality on our lived experience here. So there's really no education going into preparing people to be on a path that is both human and spiritual. And so you have a divide, you have a disconnection of people. They don't have they're looking all the time outside of themselves for what's going to help them. And that's the first issue. That's the first problem. And so now the pandemic forced people, as you said, into the pressure cooker of having to show up for themselves. No one else is going to. Now you're forced to show up, to be who you need to be in your life, to heal, to grow, to rise, to evolve, to nurture, and to have compassion for yourself, for all of the versions of yourselves, and for your ancestral line. Everyone in your line that has been suffering, you're now responsible for healing yourself and all of this behind you. So the pandemic was a catalyst, I feel, and it was necessary to put people in a place of ultimate self-sufficiency in a lot of ways, make or break, right?
Yeah. Well, you're just the perfect person to deep dive into this stuff.
I was broken. I broke myself, basically. My beliefs at the time were it was everyone else's fault. And I didn't want to be connecting to what I knew because I didn't trust myself. So all the knowing that I already had, I'm going to make that go away by consumption of alcohol and whatever else I can run away and escape with. I'm doing that for 40 years, really close to about that. And I felt the pandemic. I mean, what happened before for me was I started working with mushrooms 2 years before. And at that time, in 2019 was when I really had a lot of big shifts in my life, a lot of awakenings and a lot of future visions. And these were things that at the time in my life, I was healing from shoulder surgery number 4 in 2019. I've been taking macrodoses for a year and a half every month, and I think my neuroplasticity was at an all-time high. And so awakening experiences, future visions were very common in my life at that time. And I was brought to a place of just ultimate humility and just letting go and and having to trust what I was seeing. And that prepared me when the pandemic happened in January, February, March. I was already in the space of humility. I was already in a place of being brought down to the base level of my life. And I had no choice but to pay attention and listen, not to the rantings of myself being angry at everything, but to what was happening around me and what was being brought to my awareness. And that was what really brought me to being aware of I was wrong on all accounts. And what I was being shown, as crazy and as unimaginable as it was, this is the truth. And to believe it. And simply that, to believe was what was instrumental in helping me to embrace this process in a way that I'm now able to help other people embrace and to do their own healing work. We're here to heal ourselves, and that's the first problem that I think people are looking at achieving understanding around. Is we're not looking for someone to tell us what to do. We're looking at how to trust ourselves and our own voices, because that's what's really going to save our lives, really, at the end of the day, is ourselves. And so having people empower us to be trusting of ourselves, less critical, less judgmental, more compassionate, more forgiving. And it begins with this very base understanding of mindfulness. And yeah, they're not meant to be struggling for so long. It takes, I think, the struggle really to embrace it in a different way is what really turns things around miraculously. Yeah.
I love this. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really valuable to hear from, where you come from, the angle that you look at these things. So many things just popped in my head. Like I'm having all these light bulb moments that I want to just kind of bring a few threads together, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is just to reiterate, this first world, civilized world of perceiving that there is a symptom and there is a pill that takes care of it. Or at least that's the delusion of
Yeah.
the model.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, second thing is giving away your power onto someone, something, a doctor, a pill, something outside of you that has somehow the power to help you. I think that's also the second one. And then the third one is that's really important for me. I feel like sometimes I just want to create like a PDF of a long disclaimer, like a really detailed disclaimer. When people come to psychedelics, it's almost like I want to warn them. These are not medicines that you come to cure your headache, which you will, of course.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the symptoms that you are coming to psychedelic medicines like MS, physical, pathological, headaches and cancer. I mean, there's loads of people come to, mushrooms healing or different psychedelic medicines like ayahuasca with cancer and very, very challenging symptoms, right? And then people with, interestingly, people are started to say they come to medicines because they have depression, anxiety. Almost what's so interesting is that some of these mental health disorders are excluded from having them to, work with psychedelic medicines. As you know, if there is any psychosis or lineage of schizophrenia or bipolar, like some of these mental health disorders are excluded people from using medicines. But you know what? People will lie. People will lie and they will not tell you. This is also very out there that I'm observing. But at the same time, the paradox is we allow people to work with, or we think, we perceive that it's okay for them to work with psychedelic medicines when they come in through a door where it's a pathology, and then we somehow exclude them when they come in through a mental health disorder. Can you see this dualistic nature? Like even and yet people with the mental health are the ones that really need this work. And obviously we're not equipped, of course, because we have a system in psychotherapy that doesn't allow us to take anybody outside of their window of tolerance. So that means we need to continually, psychotherapy is, when people practice it, they don't want to risk their license. So they keep band-aiding the people, putting the band-aids on their issues, because psychological issues are deep, deep. And I have a personal opinion that pathology is the unresolved psychological issues and mental health challenges. Because of that, it's like the last stage of the what's not been resolved in their system. Now we see in pathology, or sometimes people develop such a dualistic nature, either pathological symptom or a mental. It's this, both are from the same place, unresolved, deep, deep, deep stuff. So the disclaimer would be, yes, it's amazing that you're coming to heal your headache, but be careful, because these are not pills that are going to address these specific symptoms. It's going to wake you up, and it's going to shake your world, and you may not realize that there might be a lot at stake. When people have a lot to lose, a lot at stake, like they have a business that they can't walk away from, they have relationships they can't walk, they have sick children, irreversible symptoms in sick children, there is a lot at stake. Therefore, like, now we have this another body of counter, like, activism on how to eliminate bad trips, how to prepare people so they don't have difficult trips, how to go through these millions of different questions so that we can eliminate bad experiences, so on and so on and so on. Right?
That experience is there to inspire within you your own courageousness. It's showing you what is available for your evolution, for your healing. The bad trip, there is no bad trip. That is a window into what you don't want to look at, that's going to keep perpetuating your misery. So you need to face the dragon, so to speak, right? Go to do battle with these versions of yourself with love and compassion, right? You're battling with, your weapons are love and compassion, if you could say those are weapons, but they're there to help you, right? The bad trip is there to motivate your inner hero to come forth and show up for yourself, your inner child, your lineage, right? This is, with the right person next to you, helping you to see what is an opportunity rather than what is there to terrify you. Your terrifying aspects are really beautiful gifts in disguise. And when you're working with somebody who knows the difference between the two, right, they're going to guide you back into yourself with wisdom and courage and a lot of compassion and a lot of, container holding for you to weather the storms, your storms, right?
Yeah.
Bad gift.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, obviously, again, I would like to, say that to our listeners, please be careful. Obviously, these conversations are, both of us come from a very different background. So I have a very similar understanding to you, and I know that that's how we connected. But in the mainstream, psychedelic-assisted therapy is very different. It's talked about, people talk about it very differently. The procedures, the protocols, the harm reduction piece, the ethics of care. Like, we got now books popping up from everywhere, how to, work within those guidelines, which is great. But I'm still going to stand here, and I know you will too with me, that this work isn't to stay safe. The moment you step into a psychedelic work, you're not going to be safe at all. And this is where the whole point of having a guide and a mentor who has gone through the terrains of their own internal landscape, they will know how to guide. So again, look, this is also a very controversial, Michou, because
Absolutely.
now we have charlatans as mentors and guides and facilitators they have never touched. I know it sounds very negative, but they haven't touched anything inside of them, and they're guiding very powerful medicine journeys, and re-traumatizing people. So, and because people are so vulnerable, they haven't taken that journey. They don't know anything different. So they're just in the hands of these people that, vulnerable, open to re-traumatization.
Absolutely. I'm seeing the same. I'm hearing many stories of just insane things. People basically putting blind trust into these people that are certified, right? They're certified in whatever medicine they've chosen to certify themselves in. And this is the trust that people are placing. And then they're having experiences that are definitely re-traumatizing and putting them further, I feel, further away from any type of resolution or any type of connection to areas of themselves that are needed to be connected to. And I feel and what I've been noticing with myself is the more these people are rising to the surface, the more I'm inspired to step back. My pushing out this validation seeking posts constantly about trying to prove myself, I'm stepping back, and there's still more. I'm getting more and more referrals. More and more people are finding me. I found you on the internet. I'm getting tons of people reaching out to me like that. I'm just letting the dust settle, so to speak, and let these people show themselves for who they are, and let people discover them. Right? Not to put people in harm's way, but I feel this is the only way for truth to emerge, is for them to be found out that they're not helping people in the ways that they are seeming to think that this is going to offer assistance to people. You must do your own work first. You must put your own oxygen mask on first. If the plane is crashing, you don't reach over to your neighbor to help them until you've helped your own self. And this is with psychedelic medicines, this process is about understanding the method that is the unfolding, the unpacking, if you will, of your opportunities. And if you're not ever aware of what that looks like, and have read books, right? People are reading books, they're watching podcasts, they're watching movies, documentaries, whatever have you. And then they take enough medicine to have an ego now, a God complex. You have a perfect catalyst now to go and save the world. And it's not this way. And so I think, unfortunately, many people are going to rise to the occasion of being these type of gurus and shamans and all these other people, and that's okay. They can take those paths, and I feel it's difficult. I have a lot of mixed emotions around that, and yeah, it's huge. This whole experience, the revolution, so to speak, is exploding with people who are here to save the world and create all these businesses and companies to get rich, to make a lot of money, and to use a lot of people that are in desperation, right, to take advantage of them. And there's a lot of information. There's a lot of people. I had someone join my group last night who came from, this is a highly researched person who has done a lot of research and is working with mushroom microdosing, and wanted to know his intentions weren't working. What intentions are you having? And he said, I know enough to know that the intention isn't a punch list of things I need to do, like a checklist. And I said, well, what are your intentions? And he said, well, I want to be more loving, and I want to be, and he's throwing out this expectations of how he wants to be, and the mushrooms are supposed to impart these things to him. And I said, really, the best intention to have is to surrender and listen. The mushrooms are going to offer information to you about yourself that you may or may not want to look at. And intentionally, you're meant to embrace what is shown to you, whatever it is. And whatever is being offered at that time is what you're able to work with at this time. And having the intention of being more receptive to criticism. Sure, everyone wants that, but that will come from what you're engaging with in this time with what's being offered to you. And it's not about placing an expectation on a medicine that is beyond our own wisdom. These are entities of immense power that are ancient. And we're here to be receptive in a humble place with deep humility, deep gratitude, and a lot of patience for what is going to come that's not for you to look at. You don't want to look at a lot of the things you're going to be shown. You don't want to have, and the thing, I feel like this piece that I'm hearing from a lot of people that have been working with mushrooms over and over and over for the last couple of years, maybe they've been microdosing, or at least a year, and they're taking doses now that are bringing them back to the same thing. Are you sure you hear about this too? I'm taking mushrooms and my journeys are always the same now. I don't know. I don't understand. And it's like they're looking for more, but the mushrooms are only bringing you to the chakras, maybe from root to heart, right? And they're looking for the rest. Where's the rest? Well, this is where LSD comes in, because mushrooms are bringing you to foundational healing. LSD is bringing you to cognition of what was brought to your awareness. And you're looking to articulate and really integrate what you've been shown with mushrooms. And now you're looking for something that's not mushrooms. Mushrooms have the same message. You're getting the same message because they're able to offer. It's like you're driving a VW Bug looking to go 180 miles an hour. Well, you need a Lamborghini for that, maybe. You need a different vehicle for what you're looking for. The rest being like from here up now, rather than mushrooms from here down. And so this is a concept that I'm watching patterns wise continue to perpetuate itself over and over again. And it's really awesome to see that I feel I've stumbled upon the correct theory of how this works. And I'm watching people now gain more progress, right? They're going further in their work, in their self-discovery, self-actualization. And it's pretty awesome to see. People stuck and plateaued with mushrooms, now taking microdosing of LSD and going through their glass ceiling, so to speak, of their healing, right? Blasting through it. And they're now really making strides, powerful strides, it warms my heart. It always brings me to tears.
I love that. And I have my own understanding and I want to share with you if that's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like the reason you came to understanding the work of LSD is because of your deeply deep work of your own self-awareness and your own understanding of how different medicines can, the potential of each medicine. So I'm going to tie that with your own self-awareness and understanding, because also that LSD carries the strongest negativity and stigma, and war on drugs was hugely successful on LSD. Partly because, there are, lots of memes that's going around that the reason, it was shut down is because the government don't want you to wake up and so on and so forth. But I don't have those kind of feelings, Michou. I tell you why, I'm a bit mixed in that. I tell you why, because number one is that LSD is a very interesting and complex medicine that requires a really good foundation to really understand, right?
Yes.
Because LSD also used by so many people already. Almost everyone I speak to had a recreational experience of LSD when they're in college, when they're young, when they're in festival, or sometimes they say that my friend spiked my drink with LSD and then I had this bad trip. Or they had this fun trip where everything was melting. If we think about all the young people that are taking LSD almost every weekend and they're just partying, the music is amplified and they're just kind of connecting to a different energy and not necessarily doing an enlightenment work, right? So, or at least doing a deep self work. So I was thinking, So what I came to conclusion about the LSD work is that we need to really I guess talk about how complex it is and why it will work for someone and it wouldn't work for most. Again, I just want to say it comes down to the mentor who understands this.
Yes, and what you're saying is profound and absolutely true. And I feel being one of those kids, and I was in 1985 when I did my first LSD experience. I was 15. And I was one of those kids going to the Grateful Dead and going to different shows with my friends and having these experiences that were completely out of this world and not having any bearing whatsoever on what was coming through. And to take and to remember, I mean, I have distinct memories of these experiences. They're crystal clear. And then to take my experiences now, 40 years later, right? Because I have self-awareness, because I have higher consciousness, now this is a movie, it's a book, I'm reading it. It's like the experience when I take a microdose of LSD, what comes through and how my mind is able to work with it now. I'm watching what's going on, and I'm saying, okay, this is connecting with, and it just comes together.
I love that. Can I just add something here, Michou? I think you'd like this. So here is the thing. Let's say this, I have witnessed this, by the way. That's why I want to share with you, which is so interesting. So it's kind of like the esoteric teachings of when the student is ready, the teacher shows up kind of thing. So, you know what I see sometimes in people, they have recreationally taken LSD many, many times. Like you said, they haven't really done anything with it. It was just somewhere, decades ago. It's almost like whatever it did for them. I mean, if they're lucky enough, by the way, I think another disclaimer here would be to let our listeners know that LSD is a very interesting compound that if somebody's making it to make it, to make a quick buck, there is a possibility that they may be lacing it with amphetamines and different things. So when we talk about LSD, we are actually talking about the pure form, hopefully, right? Yeah. Because we need to be absolutely careful that on the streets, on these tabs that people see, it could be sprayed with many different things. It could be not the LSD itself. It could be LSA. It could be, I don't know, concoction of cocktail of different things. So I would like to, make it very clear that we are talking about a genuine compound of LSD. And so, okay, so let's say somebody's done all these, experiences and they went on with their lives, right? So it's almost like it has done something within their system, but it's dormant, right? And then years later, they come back into this work once again, like coming full circle back. It's almost like medicine did something for them, and now they are coming full circle back and doing their deeper work. And the moment they start working with LSD again, fireworks. Everything comes back and on such high proportions that it's just insane. So these are kind of my observations. So I don't know what you think about that.
And onto yours and say that because our minds are always evolving as we age, right? I think it takes a certain level of aging and evolving like wine for it to mature, to be able to really work with what was offered back whenever that was.
Totally.
And
yes.
Even for myself, I feel that there is so much that has to come into play first to lay these foundations. And then it's your intuition that is dormant, basically. And as you age, you're beginning to have more faith in your own voice. And when you're able to, whether it's by desperation that you've been reduced to ashes and your life is destroyed, or you're in a place where you can't take your own inner suffering anymore, this is in a lot of ways a catalyst to awaken what you've already begun years and years ago. For me, taking LSD I loved LSD. LSD was a blast. And I was constantly in a place of wonder with LSD and just joy, because it's awesome to see the things melting and the colors and the music being heightened and all of this. But for me, what I loved was afterwards, the weeks following, I felt enhanced. I felt like I was able to connect to my life in a way that was just more fun. It was better, right? I was way more able to make an impact and to go above and beyond my expectations or what was expected of me in my life at home or in school or at work or whatever the things I was doing. It was always better. It was enhanced. And so I loved the half-life, the afterglow was amazing. When I'm watching with people now, that I find is again a pattern thing, is the people who took mushrooms as a child or as a teenager or as a college student. What you take as a child or as a younger person in your past life, whether it was mushrooms or LSD or whatever you had access to, as an adult, you're still going to gravitate to that medicine.
I love that.
Mushrooms,
Yeah.
for me, same thing. I have no interest in doing anything else. It never occurs to me to do ayahuasca or DMT or ibogaine or any of the other things, iboga or any of the other medicines that are available in mass now. I have no desire to experience those. I'm working with, I feel, these two because this is what I've done my whole life in portions, right? Childhood and now fast forwarding 40 years, adulthood. And I'm watching other people. I did LSD as a child or as a teenager or in college, and they're revisiting it again, and it's really helping them in tremendous ways because they have a coded pre-design of this.
I love this. This is exactly what I wanted to share with you.
Yeah.
And this means that, you know, I always thought, well, my feelings around LSD is the medicine for the Western mind right off the bat because of the complexities that we are such a complex human beings in the West, surviving in such a high pressure, environment and social context. So, what you said about staying with the mushrooms and LSD, it's kind of like the indigenous teachings of build a relationship.
Build a relationship, a deep one, a very long and deep one with much respect.
Totally. So, okay, let's debunk this misinformation in the mainstream that we get kids. I call them kids because they have no idea what they're talking about. Some kids out there, grown-up kids, they make lists such as, if you're coming first time to psychedelic work, you need to start here. You need to start with mushrooms and then go here and then ayahuasca and then this and then that, right?
No,
totally.
Don't do that. You're going to start with what is inside of you. Your own intuition is telling you where to start. You need to quiet this listening and quiet the seeking and listen. You're already knowing where to start if you listen to yourself. Trust your own voice, whatever that is.
Yeah. Totally agree with you. And Michou, you know what? I actually witnessed people having the most profound experiences, psychedelic-like experiences on marijuana, because they had this experience you talk about, this encoded knowing of their body from their younger times, which it's kind of like there was some kind of a connection, energetic relationship there already, whether it was negative, for coping, for numbing, it doesn't matter. There was something there that it activated in them. So my understanding, I'm not sure if I know you will share yours. So my understanding is that these medicines are each one not necessarily stronger, weaker, less than the other, but it's more like different doors to the same place, which is your internal landscape. Right? So you will get to that same place through iboga, if that's your calling.
Absolutely.
Through ayahuasca, if that's your calling, through mushrooms. I mean, to be honest, I've had one of my most profound, and I think that's what's really humbled me, was mushrooms, actually.
Same.
Yeah. I had when I was exploring my own work with ayahuasca, I had the most beautiful lighter experiences And some people will say, wow, that sounds almost not believable, because people now, because of the mainstream misinformation, they associate ayahuasca with this enormous experience that can kick your butt. Of course they can, of course that's also true, but it's not because of the medicine. It's because at the time of that experience you needed that, and any medicine could have done that for you. Would you agree?
I totally agree with that. Yeah, you were ready at that time to have that breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So it's about building relationship with each one rather than making a checklist of like a bucket list of making it like a ladder. I'll go next step, or next I will do this. No, it doesn't work like that. So
Doesn't work like that at all.
yeah.
And this is also tying in with the idea or the concept that I'm watching. There's a destination addiction afoot in this process, or in this world culture, psychedelic culture, of, if this isn't working, then I have to go here. And then if this, you're looking for the medicine to save you when not actually listening to the messages that it's imparting, which is meant to help evolve you in the way that is not what you're looking for. They're looking for no accountability. They're looking for something that's going to be taken, and then miraculously they're breaking through into this new life of theirs. This is not how it works. And so that is not, they've read some of their success stories about taking ayahuasca, and then all of a sudden their whole life is transformed. Some people will have that experience, but very few people. In fact, one of the things that I was remarking on not too long ago, I think it was last week, I was talking with somebody about when I started offering guidance for mushroom journeys. There was a part of me that wanted to see someone else go through my awakening experience. I thought, well, for sure, this has got to be a common thing. If it happens to me, it's got to be able to happen to everybody. I've been waiting now 171 times I have sat with mushroom journeys and people, and never once have I watched someone have a spiritual awakening or a Kundalini awakening or have a visitation from entities. I've never seen that. And I've been waiting for 5 years to see this process on the other side. Why am I not seeing that? And I feel that there has to be a lot of pieces in place for that to come through. And I think one of the biggest ones is neuroplasticity. To some degree, you have to be susceptible to being cracked wide open to be having that type of an emergence, right? It's not going to just happen like that to you, especially when there's a lot of resistance and other kind of things in play. But,
yeah.
But there's a lot of as you said, psychedelic shoppers that are working with taking this one and then now this one, and I'm not getting what I need from this, and I'm going to go over here and take this. And what you get is a mass of jumbled messages from different energies, because they're all different energies conveying a slightly different nuanced message that really at a certain time it's all confused, jumbled information.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm so happy you are speaking to this, and I'm so happy that you're out there, Michou, talking about this stuff.
Not enough, clearly.
Yeah, not enough. So I mean, look, we're doing our best. It may come across as a little bit reductionist, but it's okay, because it's a wild, wild west out there, and we're just having these conversations to maybe spark some new ideas and insights in people, so they can start to think differently, a little bit outside the box, rather than
a little bit
following the mainstream, path, how it's going on at the moment. One thing I wanted to say is that I'm really serious about this disclaimer PDF like handouts about when people come into the psychedelic work. This is we should really create one and make it available out there, because freely people can have it. Because when you are stepping into psychedelic work, it is not that you're working with the psychedelics, you are actually working with yourself, right? Yes. So
your catalyst keys. It's a key to you're the door, and this is a key to open layers and absolutely.
Totally. We need to let go of this overly exaggerated science, how the neurons are working and how the, serotonin 2H receptors are, all the scientific jargon that we are so fixated on, that needs to go, because ultimately, One of my indigenous teachers said to me that I never forget, it's kind of like grounded everything I do now. She said, if you devote yourself to the path of healing and with humility and patience, you can even work with ashwagandha and it will get you to the same place. It doesn't have to be a psychedelic.
Exactly. Even just mindfulness, no substances.
That's right.
Even that. Yeah.
That's right. And we know already that we have, we meet people that have the insane levels of cracking open through meditation, through mindfulness, like you said, through fasting, through different methods,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
I would like, you mentioned about the MDMA piece in the beginning, and I would like to take a moment to share my own opinions on why that went the way that it went, and to offer just some information that I think is important. And it is not, it is an unfortunate loss in some ways, but I feel that what I read a couple of articles around Lycos and what was happening in there. And I have a lot of, I feel it's an unfortunate, if what's true that I read is actually what's happened, the masking of outcomes were not being truthfully relayed, and that people weren't allowed to speak to the bad experiences afterwards. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of misinformation about MDMA. And
Yes.
when I work with people, and when I work with people who have worked with MDMA on the back end, there's a lot of challenges that aren't being discussed. The drop in serotonin for a lot of people is not safe.
Yeah.
The suicide Monday is a real thing, or a suicide next 2 weeks. It's a couple of weeks where you're digging yourself out of a lot of darkness. And that for a lot of people isn't possible. You can't add that to they're already in a darkness that they can't get out of. So
Yeah.
the juice, the squeeze, if you're going to have several hours of this heightened, awesome, heart opening, and then the next 2 weeks you want to die, that's not okay. That's not an option that is viable to me. Absolutely not. And it's that piece of not speaking to the challenges of that after. There's a lot of people saying that you take this thing now, you take this other substance, like mitigates this. But if you're having to take more substances to mitigate this darkness that comes through from the serotonin swing, that's not an option either then, really.
Yeah.
So
thank you for sharing, Michou. Just to clarify for our listeners, we are talking about the MDMA disapproval from FDA. So the years, decades of work that has been undertaken by MAPS rejected, right? So MDMA is no longer considered as a therapeutic substance for, to be in the legal system. So, and like you said, a lot has been said in the psychedelic world, a lot of people written articles and blogs, and they shared on video about their point of view and everything. So I'm kind of watching as a spectator, like an observer. The only person that I kind of am looking forward to dive into this topic is, I don't know if you know him, Hamilton Morris. You know him?
the name, I've
Yeah.
never
So Hamilton Morris has a Patreon. He came to the limelight through his Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Yep, I've heard.
He was on TV. So basically, he was fully inspired by Sasha Shulgin.
Yeah.
And as we all know, Sasha Shulgin was the first human test subject. Like he was one of our elders that also behind MDMA and 2CB and different kind of substances, psychedelic substances. And he used to use himself to test things that he created, without, that level of risk he used to take. So he had an underground garage with his wife, Anne Shulgin. These are the two elders of our revolution days. And And also the first couple, at least Anne was a psychotherapist. She was the first one to use MDMA in a group therapy session. So that was really interesting. So Hamilton as a child was really inspired by Sasha. And then he decided to document his journey, going around the world, trying every single substance out there on himself and give an honest verdict.
Yeah.
So that's Hamilton. And I really like his approach. He can be controversial, but anyway, so he has done several solid interviews and videos, podcasts on the FDA disapproval on MDMA. So I haven't really had a chance to dive in, but I will. So he also called it a blasphemy.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think where I'm standing at the moment, MDMA has always been a question mark for me because of, like you said, the serotonin depletion. And I also witnessed people really entering into a very dark cave that, let's say, if they haven't had the right support or the right capacity, trauma-informed understanding, or many other things, it is possible that they could stay there and become suicidal, right?
Yeah.
That's what you were saying. If they can't, it's not worth the few hours of the high.
Nah. Unless, I mean, I feel MDA is different. Taking the methamphetamine piece out and working with pure MDA or sassafras. I've heard many more positive things of that. And that's a better option, I would say, if you're going to be looking to have the heart opening and that type of elation and just euphoria, right? That's a better substance, a better medicine to use. And it's out of the sassafras. But yeah, I mean,
so totally. No, I love that we have the natural. I mean, Kana, they say the MDMA turned inwards. They say Kana, and it's legal. And it could be a slow you've got to be really patient with Kana and maybe work on a long term, but it's worth it, I believe. I think Michou also, I guess MDMA was the choice of substance for MAPS. It could have been psilocybin, to be honest. It didn't have to be MDMA.
They would have chosen LSD, honestly.
It could have been LSD, right? Exactly. Because in the West, we have the longest history with LSD, right? So what I wanted to say here is that as a therapist, I understood the fact that it was rejected because of the hard crash landing, we say.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, it's no brainer. As a therapist, I get this because the entire psychotherapy or the therapeutic psychiatry entire system is built on the foundation that you're not allowed to take people out of their window of tolerance. Those are the rules. And MDMA here breaking that rule already right off the bat. So I wasn't surprised that it was rejected. So, okay, so what can we do? I mean, my heart goes out to the veterans and all the hopeful people that are really looking forward.
Yeah.
But I want to reassure them that, honestly, there are many other medicines, such as LSD, that could get you there much easier and without many complications, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, completely. To me, and what I've learned and been shown and watched with other clients is that there is no after effect of LSD except for enhanced cognition, enhanced understanding, enhanced empathy, enhanced consciousness. There is no downshift or swing that brings you to a place where you're having to grapple with in a difficult way.
Totally. And this is where we come back to again. LSD is a perfect psychedelic substance for a psychedelic-assisted therapy. Look at our elders. Stan Grof is standing on this incredible data, right? He's one of our elder. He's still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
And despite his he had the stroke, he's doing well. I mean, look, this man is sitting on this data. He's an elder from the revolution. He's the biggest advocate in LSD assisted therapy.
Yeah.
Why don't we go towards this direction where we have already huge foundation? We have James Fadiman.
Yeah.
We have all these amazing elders. I mean, we probably have more that is going to come. They say, come out their closet as things are relaxing, because some of these people are highly credible clinicians and, certified people that they don't want to risk their licenses. So surely there are many others sitting on such enormous information and wisdom.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So you and I, we continue talking about LSD. So let's see where it takes us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Michou, as we're coming to end of our conversation, truly, truly grateful for your transparency, your openness, and the wisdom that you carry and what you stand for. Really want to appreciate you.
Thank you.
And also, would you please tell us, as last words of wisdom, what would you like to share with our listeners? And then we can move on to your current projects and where you are headed and where they can find you.
I feel like what comes across at this time is to really trust. This is a trusting yourself process. And when that is a new concept, it's very difficult to really find the footing of what that looks like. And really I feel when you're idealizing or when you're conceptualizing working with a substance that can pull you out of your reality and into a reality that is foreign to our culture, foreign to our history. And this is the beginning of emerging into your highest level of awareness. It's not going to look familiar to you. It's not going to look like anything you've ever seen. And this is the part that's difficult. You're looking to come to a place within yourself that allows you to embrace your gifts inside, to heal and to emerge as someone in this life who you're proud to be, which is something that a lot of people can never lay claim to. And what this is really asking of you is to be patient. As you mentioned before, patience and a whole lot of humility is what is really asked of you on this path. So to please embrace and learn to respect and trust your own voice when you're seeking and searching for information. A lot of times that's giving your power away when you're looking to really embrace and nurture and empower yourself. So your voice really is what ultimately you're growing and you're nurturing and you're cultivating here. So grabbing information from other people is good to a point. Learn to trust your own voice, right? Your own answers are what you're looking for ultimately here. Right.
I love that. Thank you so much. Totally agree. And I'm with you there.
What I'm currently working on is a number of things, actually. I'm working on a couple of different books. I'm working on a lot of community projects in Massachusetts. I'm actually working with the question number 4 for Massachusetts for mental health options. We have a ballot question in our local elections this year, which is really exciting for November, for regulated therapeutic access to plant-based psychedelics. So mushrooms would be definitely one of those. Also, iboga would be one of those as well. And really what I'm looking to do in this next few months is creating community here in Massachusetts, to bring people together, to have FaceTime with others that are working with psychedelic medicines. I'm looking to further my creation of Western Massachusetts Psychedelic Society. So that's something, all these different projects, a lot of community things are happening. It feels important to create what's not available for people, which is a chance to come together and speak to their process, speak to the work that they're doing with themselves and these different medicines that there is no community for in a real sense. They're all online, and that's not what we need here. These medicines are really asking for community to be built where there was in the past the beginnings of that, but there was no integration for these processes to be made tangible. And actualization wise, you need to speak to what you're experiencing. This is the other piece. So creating psychedelic integration spaces feels really important and timely to be creating those. and just being available. I'm really working on um, finding ways to make myself even more available, to stretch myself even further out there, to be available for people who have questions. And it feels important to be continuing these offers, to just being available for people who are needing to access what this is about, to continue working with mycology, to teach mycology, to help people create their own medicine at home feels very important. I feel like if this measure can pass, it's also offering us the opportunity to cultivate it at home so we can keep people having safe access to their medicine. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Would you say that the future is community?
Oh,
Future of psychedelic work is definitely community.
it's necessary, because this is where people can empower themselves to continue their own personal work. Listening to other people talk about their experiences is part of what helps us create our own muscle memories to our own experiences. So the idea that taking psychedelics in a vacuum is like half of this process. When I was in my 2018 and 19, there wasn't community of psychedelics yet. And so I was really in my own vacuum, and it was very detrimental to what was offered. When I started to speak about my experiences and listen about other people's experiences, it really brought things home in a tremendous way for me. It really made it to where I could actualize what I've been shown in ways that were very powerful and transformative. And that's the next piece. I feel that when people are just taking at home microdosing or whatever they're working with, it's bringing them halfway to what they're looking for. So talking and experiencing and listening, these are the next levels of how this work really manifests and lets you come to the highest levels of your opportunities, really.
I love that. Amazing. And what I'm going to take home is from this conversation is ultimately these medicines are going to humble us up. They are here to teach humility.
They're here to teach deep humility, which in turn is deep gratitude, most beautiful gratitude ever for everything in your life, however small. Yeah.
Amazing. All the best with everything. We'll have all the information in the show notes for our listeners. If they wanted to get in touch and maybe contact you, I know that you're open. So that would be so wonderful. And the other thing came to my mind, we need to have you back as many times as possible throughout the year, maybe like regular conversations where we can continue to dive into.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah, overview of the current trends and what is happening, almost like a psychedelic news channel where we kind of cover
Yeah.
trends so that people can be super aware and informed. And I really love that you are open to this. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. And if there are people that are inspired to reach out to me, you're able to just type my name into Google and find quite a few offerings that I have contributed to. You'll also find my website. You'll find various articles. You'll find my LinkedIn. There's a lot of ways to reach me. But just to get a feel for more of what I've spoken around about, please just type my name into Google and reach out if you're interested. I'm happy to show up for you and to offer any type of wisdom and access that I can for you.
Amazing. Thank you for the work you do, Michou.
And for having this space, for holding space for our conversations and for everyone's psychedelic conversations. What you're doing is very powerful and you're very courageous to offer this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you are too.
I appreciate you very much. And I'm excited for our next installment.
Yeah, me too. Likewise. Totally. Great. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and hope you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. And please comment, share your thoughts. If this conversation triggered something in you or helped you to think a little bit outside of the norm, you can share it. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Find your community and stay informed. Please, please be absolutely careful now that things are ramping up and things are becoming super mainstream. Please do your due diligence and please research, understand, do your homework, and then then go to your work with psychedelic.
One last thing. When you're looking to work with somebody, make sure that you're asking them to what level they have worked with these medicines themselves, to what level have they worked on their own inner work. This is the person that you want to work with or not based upon their answer. Whoever you're working with needs to have lived experience to a deep level in the medicine that is of interest to you. This is paramount. For your well-being and for your harm reduction and for your ethical approach, they need to have done this extensively.
Yeah, totally. So stay informed, stay safe, stay educated, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you, Michou. All the best, and bye for now.
Bye for now.